So I'm very passionate about this presentation today. It's my 4-day detox. I'm introducing the 4-day detox. It's a lifestyle. It's the way that I live. I'm introducing my imperfection program. It's my ebook. I have two ebooks that I've written, the imperfection ebook and the 4-day detox. And hopefully you can take a look at those ebooks, and they really kind of explain how I have, learned how to heal myself naturally, and the foundational ideas that I like to share with people, because I think that the reason why people are getting unhealthy is really because of an unhealthy mindset, and that we really need to learn a new mindset. And it's almost like a reverse mindset. It's a backwards thinking that we have to do to be healthy and well. And so, why should you listen to me anyways? And I'm not saying you have to listen to me, but I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I'm just going to try to condense it for you and say that, I'm 50 this year. And, this picture here is when I was 19. And this is my picture of me this year on my 49th birthday. So there's 30 years between those pictures. And that picture at 19, I was the provincial champion. And I started exercising from when I was 13, and it was 6 years from when I started till I was the provincial champion. So I was very diligent about my exercise from 13. So it's been 35, 36, 37, many years of like a discipline for myself. So I learned this thing when I was very young, before I got into the bills and life and all of that. So as a benefit, if you can learn this at a young age, this is a great lifestyle skill. But what's gone, through the whole thing that I see through the whole thing is it's been movement. And movement is a spark of life. So, we have to have daily movement in our life. I learned this from when I was young. Movement and breathing, stretching and strengthening the body. I don't do all of these things anymore. I was in the Mr. Universe competition 25 years ago. I went to university. I studied a McMaster kinesiology and psychology. I've been a personal trainer for 30 years, since I was 19. And I've logged over 35,000 personal training sessions in that time. I have a private personal training studio in my home here in Burlington, Ontario, Canada. I'm outfitted to work with people online or in the studio. And I want to tell you that I started this whole thing when I was 13, and I want to tell you that I started it with a wrong mindset, in that I started it because somebody kind of picked on me at school and embarrassed me in front of the girls. And I thought I wasn't good enough. And I decided I was going to build up this muscle around me to become good enough. So I kind of started it with a broken idea. And then some broken things kind of happened to me in my life. I lost my mother when I was just before my 19th birthday. And I went off to university, and my father made me move out, and I was on my own. So I was a very independent guy from a young age. And that was a good and bad thing, and that it helped me to make my own decisions and create my own reality for myself. But it also didn't give me a lot of guidance, and I got into a lot of, doo-doo and mess as well too, and made some very big mistakes with some very bad ideas that I had in mind. And at the root of it was really I had to change my mind. I had to learn how to change my mind. And I had to learn how to love myself. And I want to say that I learned how to love myself by learning how to love my children. And I probably learned how to love my children before I properly learned how to love my wife. And I probably, begun to learn how to love them before I learned how to love myself properly. And in the journey of self-love, I found that I healed my body of a lot of pain that I got into in my body from all of this kind of mindset of like I needed to break my body and put lots of protein into it. Break my body and put lots of protein into it. And I did this until I was 40, and my body broke from this. That I did this and it broke my body. And at 40, I was broken, physically, mentally, emotionally, my health. And I nursed myself back through an alkaline way of life, through following the trails in the direction of alkalizing my body, that I came to restore my health balance within my body. What I learn now is more, I've restored my life force energy, and I like to speak about electromagnetic energy a little bit. That's what I like to talk about. This is the energy of life. This is the love energy. I also like to talk about natural balance. I say nature balances us, and I learned a lot of the things about nature starting from a book that I read by Dr. Arnold Ehret. I would encourage people that are starting to maybe understand this lifestyle to refer to that book. And there's a lot of my ideas that I share from classical doctors and naturalists, and this has really been something that's gone on through from the beginning of time, and I will try to reference things when I do speak about things like this. But you know, this information of natural health and how to heal yourself naturally, it's not a new idea. It's not really alternative medicine, although right now it's being labeled as alternative medicine, because in this now, allopathic medicine has complete ownership of the media and the education and the mindset of the population. And so nature becomes the alternative. And that's really a dollars and cents thing, a profit thing. I like to talk about nature and balance and coming back into balance, and that is not about profit, and that is not about money, and that is about life force energy, that is about love energy, that is about coming back into natural balance with nature. And it's not the mindset and the kind of science that we learn in school. It's not this calories in and calories out. And you know, it has to do with hormones, but it's hormones are being out of whack because of this idea that we need to eat 3 meals a day. 3 to 5 meals a day. We've been sold on this idea of eating 3 to 5 meals a day. By the time we're 40 and we've been living that way, the body's starting to show signs, telltale signs of sickness, illness, and disease are starting to come into the body. The body's starting to demonstrate aches and pains, but the body's only thought process that it's been taught is it needs to get health. So it's searching for something it needs to get. And really, it's not something that it needs to get at all. It's a misunderstanding of health is what this is. Authentic health is not really about getting anything. Authentic health is about removing something. And so it's a new mindset, and it's a backwards mindset from the thought process that we know, which is to get something to be healthy. No, it's to remove the thing that's blocking my health. I like to talk about natural balance. When I say natural balance, I say, you know, it's not all one way or the other way. I talk about imperfection in my ebook. It's not about being perfect. It's not about doing everything right. It's not about this. It's about making sure that you're honoring kind of the both sides of yourself. And it's just making sure that if you want to get healthy and well, that you're honoring your goals to be healthy and well most of the time. It doesn't mean all of the time. It really has to mean most of the time. And so I say natural balance. I say in the work week, natural balance becomes 4 days. If you kind of do this, kind of sort of learn this type of mental, I learned this from bodybuilding. You know, I worked out 4 days of the week when I was getting ready for the nationals, to be the national champion, to be in the championships, to be in the Mr. Universe. I was working out 4 days a week after I tried, you know, the 5 and the 6 and the 7 day routines when I was younger. And I had come to be at my best with a 4 day a week program, and recognized that this was the optimal boundaries for my body, and that I could push myself to my capacity this way. But if I went more, that I would not get the same return, that I would push myself over into overtraining, and this was no benefit to me. So I established this rule, this natural balance rule, and I honored it in other aspects of my life. I applied it with my mental game and my nutritional game. This idea of natural balance, that 4 days of the week, I'm striving to really work on my nutrition and my mindset and my physical self. And then I allow myself 3 days of sort of a relaxed time where I relax and I come off and I enjoy those things maybe that my body may be craving, or I allow, you know, the other aspects of my life to have time, like time with family, time with friends, social things. This sort of allows for that in life. Although I do recognize the benefit of unfooding, and it's one of the ideas that I do teach. And so I say, if you can spend a portion of your week unfooding or fasting, and a portion of your week refeeding, this is what life is all about. And this is how life is always going to be. And it's like we need to learn how to, you know, live in that sort of balance. That sometimes I have to discipline myself and say, no, I'm not allowed to at this time. And then here I am allowed to. And then kind of practicing that again and again until I can become better at that. And I lose control sometimes, and then you regain it, and then you lose it and you regain it. This is the practice. It's the practice of getting back on the horse again and again. This is the unfooding lifestyle. This is the fasting lifestyle. It's an intermittent fasting, but I say fasting has always been here. People have been gaining benefit from fasting for thousands of years. It's been documented in every single religion and faith. It's linked to spiritual pilgrimage and, you know, journeys within yourself, journeys to self-love. All the most successful people of all time, the most noteworthy people of all time have fasted. Now, modern day, it's being called intermittent fasting. This is the trend. And it's a trendy, wonderful way of introducing fasting, however you want to call it. Let's do intermittent fasting. Let's practice fasting at minimum 4 days of the week. If you're over 40 or over 50, surely, how many days have you had without food? Why is that? Your hormone profile now doesn't support all of that food anymore. But you've got this addiction to all of this food now. Really, you're going to have to, you know, overcome your addiction to all of that food now. This is the truth. You're going to have to learn how to eat less because your body can't process all of that food any longer, and you're going to get sick if you keep on doing it. really have to learn how to eat less. And truly the best way to learn how to eat less is to practice fasting. I encourage you to fast. I say start with 14 or 16 hours of the day where you're trying to stay empty. So if you ended dinner at 6 or 7 or 8 p.m. at the latest, and then you didn't eat all night long until the next day at 10 or 11 or 12 in the day, later into the day with your breakfast, earlier in your night with your dinner, if you can try to eat when the sun's up and not when the sun is down. The light of the sun is very important. We're in a cycle here. Last week we were cycling with the earth, with Mother Earth, with the lunar cycle, with Sabina. I'm teaching a fasting of a lifestyle that's around the work week. You know, these are lifestyle habits. I know Sabina is completely 100% about lifestyle as well too. She's teaching methods for the toolbox. These are methods for the toolbox. Fasting is a part of the toolbox. Extended fasting is fasting for multiple days. Intermittent fasting may be fasting for 14 or 16 or 18 or 24 hours, a certain number of hours in a day. Intermittent fasting. Trying to eat in as small a window during your day as you can. If you're eating in an 8-hour window, you're fasting 16 hours and eating in an 8-hour window. We want to close that 8-hour window to a 6-hour window, to a 4-hour window, to a 2-hour window. Can I eat in a smaller window? Intermittent fasting, learn how to eat in a smaller window. And then when I'm refeeding in a system, in a method, I have a way of refeeding my body. I always eat that way. I begin with my juice. I move to my fruits. I move to my salads. I move to my starches. If I'm having any protein, it's coming or heavy things on the top. So that if I can stop at the juice, great. If I have to go to the fruit, great. If I have to go to the starch, you know, stop at whatever point you can, but you're refeeding your body in this way. Extended fasting is when we try to go for, you know, a little bit longer into our fast. We push ourselves into our discomfort. So maybe beyond 24 hours. I say no food Monday. At least try to go for that extended fast once a week where you try to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and try to stretch your fast. Oh, today I'm trying to really not eat today. 24 hours from Sunday night dinner till Monday night dinner. I say this is no food Monday. Can we go 24 hours without food? This is our extended fast day. If you want to go for 36 hours, wonderful. If you want to just drink water or juices, let's stop chewing for the day. Let's stop cooked and processed foods for the day. Let's keep it light. Let's do a solid food vacation. Let's be taking in fluids, liquid meals, water and juices. No food Monday. It's all a part of my unfooding. I find that if you start practicing fasting and eating raw foods, that the body just naturally unfoods. This is what happens to the body, that you know, we've become addicted to all of this food. But as we start moving towards raw foods and fasting, we'll find that actually the body feels better when I spend more time in this emptiness. I eat sometimes and then I spend more time in this emptiness, that this is when my body actually feels more optimal. And this is when my body's healing more. So you're practicing this every single week, no food Monday. And then for the rest of the week, Monday through Thursday, you're trying to work on juices or fruits, or you can continue with no food or just on water. Waters and juices and fruits. just raw foods? Can we just keep it live foods, Monday through Thursday? Can we strive for live foods? If we need to eat cooked or processed foods, can we do it twice in 4 days? Once in 4 days? Twice in 4 days? Cooked and processed foods, do we have to have starches? Do we have to have fats? Do we have to have avocados and hummus and nuts? What do we need? How much of this do we need? Do we have to have a cooked and processed meal once a day with our family? Is that how our lifestyle is, that we need to eat with our family once a day, and then we can do juices and fruits or just juices and smoothies during the day? Could we do liquid meals during the day and eat a cooked meal once a day? Could we eat a cooked meal every other day? Could we eat a cooked meal every few days? Could we eat cooked meals just on the weekends? It's really making a decision for yourself, like what's ideal. Like, so you try, okay, I tried eating 3 or 4 meals a week. I felt a little heavy still. I'm going to take it back to 3 days, or I'm going to go to 2 days, or I've been doing 4 days a week of heavier meals. I've been eating a little more than I should for a while now. It's time for me to clean up a little bit and get back on track. I'm inspired by this new program that I saw, or this other person that I saw, or someone else that's in my community that's talking about something that inspired me to get back on track with my diet a little bit more. So, you kind of bounce in and out of it. It's not something that you need to do all of the time, but you have a system, you have a method of fasting, and you're sort of practicing that. You've got a system, a method of nourishing yourself authentically. I like to talk about authentic nourishment. I like to talk about, how we can heal, nourish ourselves in other ways. That we don't only get our nourishment from food. It's not only just calories in and calories out. This is not how we really are authentically nourished. Like, the body is actually nourished by oxygen in and carbon dioxide out. That this is cellular metabolism, and this is how ATP is produced, and it doesn't require carbohydrates, proteins, or fats at all. No macronutrients are necessary for that to happen. So I want to tell you about authentic nourishment. Authentic nourishment is electromagnetic energy. It's the energy of the electron. It is the energy of structured water. It's the energy of the photons of light that are in, from the sun, that get caught in the fruit or in the vegetable, that are caught in living foods, live foods. Bring a life force. So rather than thinking of your nutrition by calories and proteins and grams of carbohydrate, instead of thinking about your nutrition this way, thinking about your nutrition in form of life or live nutrition, structured water, hydrogen-rich energy, food that contains hydrogen, structured water or energy-rich water. I like to talk about natural water. I say that truly we've been kind of sold this idea that human is a food eater. Truly, I would say the human would be a hydrogen drinker, a water drinker. The human is a hydration more than an eater. The human needs water to propel itself more than it needs food. Water contains hydrogen, and water that's in the sun contains H3, structured water. Water that's in nature, distilled water is in nature. Distilled water that's in the light of the sun, that's been invigorated in some way. I like to use a hydrogen bottle. I say invigorated water, ionic water, water that has an energy to it, life force. It's the water, the fluid that's in Juice is, it's the water and fluid that's in raw juices or that's in live fruits and vegetables. This is the water that we need to heal and nourish ourselves with. I like to talk about the life force. I like to talk about authentic nutrition. I like to talk about hydrogen. And I want you to know that hydrogen is the first element. This is the periodic table. You know, I think there's 168 or 169 elements here. These are all of the elements that are known in the universe. All the things in the universe come from these elements. Hydrogen is the first one. Hydrogen is the element that burns inside of the sun. It's the sun's light energy. Hydrogen is a special molecule. It joins always in two. And when it binds with oxygen, it creates water. Water is kind of the core element of our earth and of our physical being as well, too. The body is made up mostly of water. The body is really nourished more by water and oxygen than by anything else. The oxygen is in the water, it's in the air. Yes, through water and air. Less of the food, more of the life force or the authentic nutrition. A hydrogen-rich nutrition, nourishing our body the way that the body is really supposed to be nourished, but it's been misnourished. I can't say malnourished, it's been overnourished. And I like to really talk about the two sides of the self and honoring the two sides of the self and making sure that we're doing that on a daily basis. And I want to say that you really want to set up your week, your 4-day detox week. You got to see that, you know, in order to be successful, you need to have some discipline. But and also in order to be successful and to be able to sustain it for a lifetime, that it can't all be discipline, else you'll never stay with it. It really has to allow some feeling. It has to have some allowance. And this is why I say, see if you could set up your life more in a 4-day discipline and allow a 3-day sort of feeling where you're allowed and giving yourself the feeling, the freedom to choose to have those things, and then discipline it again on Monday again. Get into a community, get around others who are also doing it. You know, make relationships with others, talk about it, commit yourself to it on a daily basis, to both sides of yourself, your decision maker, your choice, your masculine, I am getting healthy, and also your feminine, you're imagining how that happens, what that looks like for yourself, making new decisions, trying something new, making new decisions, imagining again. We need both. We need to learn how to practice this. We need to learn how to practice this into our life in a meditation. We need to learn how to honor this energy inside of ourselves. This is a conscious breathing practice. There needs to be a conscious breathing practice. I recommend bookending your day with this practice. In the morning, in the evening. If you can do it in the middle of the day, wow, wonderful, bravo. But I mean, bookend your day with this, that you start in the beginning, in the morning, really with coming to the thoughts and the words I say that make your heart sing. You have to come to the thoughts and the words of the things that you love. That's a practice. And so, you know, sometimes we're in lament, we're in kind of a low frequency vibe, we're in a sadness, a sorrow, we're dealing with a frustration, we're dealing with a lower vibe energy, a shadow, and it's about integrating with this energy. And that's really finding an acceptance with it. So even that's learning how to cope and love with that. So those days when you're dealing with a shadow energy like that, you may need to lay down and rest. It may be a slower day, and that's okay. And then that can sometimes meander around for a couple of days if you're working on detox. Sometimes that happens, and that's okay. But you get up and you get moving and you get thinking and you get speaking. You just listen to something positive. You just get around someone else that's saying something positive, so that you can hear something positive, so that you can be inspired by something positive. Because if you stay in that low frequency, low vibe energy, you kind of muck about in it and you stay there and you get stuck in it. You start feeling sorry for yourself and you start feeling like you're a victim of your life. So you don't want to muck about in that shadow too much. You understand there's some shadow that has to come out of my body and life. I honor and respect that, and that has to happen. And sometimes we need to cry and we need to be with it, and it's okay. But sometimes we just need to make an effort to move. Get a little bit of movement and then sit. Or if we can't do a lot of movement, a little bit of walk, a little bit of touch your toes, reach over your head 10 times, a little bit of stretch, a little bit of breathe, and then a sit. And even before that, just in the bed, when you wake up and the alarm goes off, even before you get out of the bed, just to be laying in the bed and just speaking nicely to yourself in your own mind about the things that you love. Working on your own little positive mantra. I am meeting my life with more love. I am loving myself more. I am loving my life more. I'm spending some more time with myself. So saying these things to myself while I'm breathing to begin the day. What do I need to learn? What do I need to, how do I need to grow? How can I be better? I am ready to learn and grow. I'm excited about my day. Something awesome is coming today. You know, starting off with a dialogue that you have formed. Maybe you've written that dialogue for yourself. Maybe you begin to write that dialogue for yourself. Maybe you begin by listening to someone in the morning and learning a little bit of a dialogue and starting your own little ritual of speaking in the morning positively, writing it out, talking nicely to yourself in the affirmative. I like to just listen to some affirmative thoughts and words sometimes. I like to listen to a gratitude affirmation. I could listen to a meditation. Right, and I'll put some links for sure out to some gratitude meditations and to some love and kindness meditations. I'll make sure I include some links for you guys. But it's to take some time to honor your inner self, your higher self, your soul, breath, conscious breathing, and positive, kind, loving thoughts and words will bring you into this creative space, this imaginative space, the space of vision, dreams, goals, hopes. Flexible meals, relax on the weekends. You know, it goes in waves. You know, you go in waves where you may be more inspired, but I mean, it's like a lifestyle that you're learning. And some days, sometimes you may want to go 2 weeks or 3 weeks without having flexible meals. And then maybe you want to have flexible meals every weekend for a while. Maybe you need to eat 1 meal a day. OMAD lifestyle. 1 meal a day. OMAD lifestyle, right? 1 meal a day. Maybe it's just you're going to stick to 1 meal a day, moving from the 3 to 5 meals a day to 1 meal a day. Can you get, or do you need to be at 2 meals a day? It's really finding what's right for you and trying to maintain that for at least 4 days of the week. Can you get to 1 meal a day? Can you get to a cooked meal every other day? Can you get to 4 days without any cooked foods, just raw foods for 4 days? Can we reduce the cooked and processed foods? Can we reduce the animal protein? Can we reduce the proteins and the fats? Can we minimize this part of our life? Can we reduce factory farming in the world? Can we do a part to do something positive for the world? Just doing your own little part. I like to talk about authentic nourishment. I say that's, a lifestyle. It's about a change to our internal dialogue. Authentic nourishment is how you're nourishing yourself from within yourself, how you're speaking to yourself. If you're speaking poorly to yourself, then you're going to need to escape more from yourself and eat or drink or smoke or have sex or go shopping or get on your screen or talk to your friend or bug your child or your partner, chase after someone else in your family, your life. The more that you are, poorly dialoguing internally, this is your internal nourishment. The more your internal nourishment is of a negative nature, it's a lower frequency internal nourishment. Your mental programming is fear-based. The things that you're talking about are worry and fear. You're talking about how you're worried about your relationship, worried about your money, worried about your food, worried about your weight. You're talking about worrying about getting sick. You're talking about worrying about your disease. You're talking about the energy of worry, and it's not the energy of love. It's not authentic. It's not of the spirit. It's not of love. Worry is not love. And we confuse it for love, and we've been taught to worry. It's really a mental reprogramming. And this happens through a daily practice, through a ritual, through a habit, through a behavior. You can learn something new. This is how we learned what we did learn. We learned the bad habit through a daily practice. You know how we learn the good habit? Through a good daily practice. A mindfulness practice, a self-awareness practice, or a meditation practice, a conscious breathing practice, a visualization practice. We need accountability. We need relationship. We need support. We need to have conversation and dialogue. That's how change happens. Through an exposition of the shadow, an integration of what's hiding in the darkness. This is how it gets exposed or brought to the light. And that brings my 4-day detox, the mindset coaching too. This is the pulling it all together. This is the lifestyle that you can learn and use to change your lifestyle, heal yourself.